Okay, we've got another special guest on today. It's JohnnyTime. How are you doing, man?
Amazing, Andy. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So you are a blockchain security researcher, and you've been working in tech and cybersecurity for quite some time now, longer than myself, actually. And I think you've taken a similar path in the sense that you were working in traditional cybersecurity for a period of time before deciding to pivot into Web3 security, essentially. And now you're living that digital nomad life, which I think a lot of people in Web3 security seem to be doing. And I'm very curious, like, what is it actually like to live that kind of lifestyle? And is it all that it's cracked up to be? So, yeah, man, we're going to be digging into all of that, get you to share your perspective around cybersecurity, Web3, and just life in general. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun chat.
Amazing. I'm excited.
Awesome. So why don't we start just at the beginning, like how you got into traditional cybersecurity in the first place? What's your story?
Yeah, so it's a pretty long story because I'm in the industry for more than a decade. I actually always been like a geek guy. I was a gamer. I used to play computer games since I was a child. I remember my mom getting my first computer when I was like 5 years old, and I loved computer games. And then, when I became a teenager, and all these free MMORPG games, I don't know if you used to play them, like Maple Story, World of Warcraft, MU Online, all these kind of games. And I love this kind of games. And as like in life, we are looking for hacks, and also in the games, you want to be the best character. You want to have the most amount of mesos, let's say, in Maple Story. So you're trying to dig ways in forums, deep dive on hacks, and then you get to know Cheat Engine. I don't know if you're familiar with Cheat Engine, like the app that changes the memory real time. And meanwhile, you're 14 years old, you're changing the memory of the computer without even knowing what you're doing, just to get more money in a game or to hack some kind of functionality. And that's I think I got my love for computers like when I was like young, since childhood. And then I learned to create websites and develop stuff. So I'm like quite native to computers, and that's what helped me to get my job, I guess, in the IDF in Israel, my military service. So in my military service, I did cybersecurity defense for the Israeli military forces for 6 years. So I participated in a course that's called Cyber Defenders, and I learned all kinds of stuff from white hat hacking, penetration testing, development like Python and other languages, forensics, malware analysis, reverse engineering, all these kind of things when I was in the military. And that's what I did also after for 6 years, obviously. So it's not like you learn for 6 years in a course. You actually do it in like, so if it's like SOC and incident response, and also I went to be a commander to teach the course, to educate the next generation of the cyber defenders, and then became an officer and did operations and all this kind of stuff. So I did it 6 years in the military, and then this is just the traditional cybersecurity background. Um, and somewhere back then, in 2013, I also got introduced to crypto, to Bitcoin and Litecoin back then, but we'll get to that later. Uh, and yeah, so since I finished the military service, I focused on education. So also after I finished it, I went to teach like in a private college in Israel. I educated people, I trained them for cybersecurity defense and offensive as well. Then in Singapore for a while, I worked there with their defense forces, again, training cybersecurity. And yeah, so I got like plenty of experience in the field, in like technical experience.
Nice, nice. Yeah, you mentioned gaming, and I think a lot of us tech guys, we played a lot of games when we were younger. I played RuneScape. Not sure if you heard about that one.
I heard
Yeah, I've
definitely.
definitely heard of Maple story, and yeah,
The
like
Maple
getting into
Story is like
games and then
one of the best games ever created. I'm literally I'm while working, while hunting bugs and reading code or doing code reviews or writing code, I'm just listening to the Maple Story background on the the background music all the time. So it feels like I'm playing a game. Like instead of grinding mushrooms or something in the nature and get experience and mesos, you're actually hunting bugs and making money in real life. So yeah, it was.
yeah, 100%. Like the background music, it brings back the nostalgia.
I love it. I love the nostalgia.
So you said you've been in the IDF. Is that straight out of high school that you went into the IDF?
No, yeah, usually it's straight after high school. So once you become 18 years old, you finish your high school, and then it depends on the unit that you go and when they accept new people. But yeah, usually you don't have much time. I had like 2 months in between, and yeah, when I joined the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, when I was 18 years old. Usually it's mandatory
Wow.
to serve like 3 years in the IDF. I volunteered to be an officer, so I had to stay another 3 years as a commander. So in total 6 years. But 3 years are completely vulnerable, voluntary. So it means that you basically work for the government for 3 years and you get paid nothing. Not nothing literally, but like $100 a month, which is obviously not enough, especially for Israel. So that's how it
Right.
works.
So they pretty much trained you, right, in cybersecurity, but they paid you like pennies just so you're able to live. But they gave you a lot of training around cybersecurity, like even in the first 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, so they train you around 4 months, and also during your service, they send you to like more courses, advanced courses like malware analysis, forensics, IR, advanced PT, and stuff like that. And yeah, and also you have tests. It's not like anyone is being accepted to the course. You have to go through like series of tests and interviews, like a job interview. And imagine you being like 18 years old, like meeting soldiers that interview you and checking your creativity and like the way you think, your experience in technical experience in development, in like hacking.
So you did like all sorts of traditional cybersecurity stuff with them, from penetration testing to incident response and all that kind of stuff. You must have some crazy stories, I'm sure, from your 6 years of working there. Are you able to share some of those stories? Assuming that you won't share anything that's like confidential or anything. I don't want to get you into trouble.
Yeah, yeah. So there is a lot of confidential stuff that I obviously cannot talk about. But let's say I was surprised, like how interesting target is the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, and in general Israel. And let's say that there are a lot of adversaries that are trying to hack different kind of systems. And we had a lot of sleepless nights. If it's like doing like forensics for computer or analyzing network capture files or just malwares that we found. And yeah, especially when there is like more like heat situation, you can definitely see that once they're like once there is like warfare in the real world, in the reality, with like missiles and tanks and stuff like that, you can see how like cybers like gets involved, and how the enemy has like forces that sits behind computers and just trying to hack stuff. And that's the most I can tell.
Okay. So you were sort of involved in both the attack and defense side of things.
Not really. I was mostly focused on defense. Obviously we did like white hat hacking and like penetration testing and assessments, and we developed malware in order to train other teams and plan like attacks, like red teaming. But I didn't actually do any offensive into like another enemy or adversary. Yeah, no, that wasn't my job. This is the intelligence part.
Okay, yeah, that sounds that sounds pretty fun. You must have had fun in those 6 years.
Yeah, definitely.
So you heard of Bitcoin. You heard of Bitcoin in 2013. How many years into your IDF service was that?
Ooh, good question. So it was around like 1 year in, maybe 2 years after my IDF service. It was around 2013, where my friend told me about Bitcoin. He told me, it's actually a fun story. So I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad after I read recommendation about it, and I gave it to my best friend to read it. And he loved the book. And after like 1 year or something, he told me, bro, Rich Dad and Poor Dad is like, it's old school. It doesn't work anymore. You know, like real estate, rental real estate. It's like, yeah, it might work, but it's like obvious. I have the new Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm mining Bitcoin. I bought a graphic card, and I can both play these awesome computer games in like very high performance, and while I'm sleeping, I'm just mining Bitcoin. I'm doing passive income. After 2 months, I can pay back my graphic card and everything. And for me, it was like, what the fuck? How do you even sell it? And back then there was no exchanges. Like there was like maybe very few of them. So it was like mind blowing for me. And yeah, that's how I learned about Bitcoin. And it's cool because back then he used to make like 1 Bitcoin per day with his graphic card. I think it was like $100 a day, and after like 1 month he made like $3,000. And for a soldier it's a lot, you know, because we get like $100 salary. And he sold it, and like when we were like 19, 18, we made like passive income just because we knew this kind of technology. And unfortunately, you know, we use it as a passive income method, but if we would hold it till this day, we would be like multi-millionaires. So this is how I got around Bitcoin and also Litecoin, because this was like the real like main coins back then.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like you got in pretty early then, like 2013, and that was around like the Mount Gox hack, was it? I think.
Yes. And
Yes.
fortunately, like we first of all, we were soldiers, so we didn't have significant amount of money. And back then Bitcoin was around $100. It's not like, yeah, you might have 20 Bitcoins, but okay, it's $2,000. And so we didn't have like significant amount of money because we didn't have the capabilities of like generating this amount of money. But you know, the graphic card is like working and generating 1 Bitcoin a day. You pay the electricity bills, and that's how it works. And I don't think he had money in Mount Gox. I also did not have a counter. Yeah.
So how many Bitcoins did you guys run up to?
Yeah, so the thing is that I bought a graphic card as well, and I connected it, installed the app, and what happened is that my motherboard of the computer just got burned because it was too powerful. You know, I had like I don't know, I think it was like Pentium 4 computer, and the graphic card was super like powerful. I bought it like for like $500, and the motherboard was like very old. And then my motherboard was like ruined, and I was like, bro, look what happened. You know, I was like, you told me to mine these Bitcoins, and now I don't have a computer. It's broken. And he's like, okay, I will buy the graphic card from you. Come, bring me the. And then he used to generate 2 Bitcoins a day. And I stopped the mining because I was just like, I don't know, I was lazy, or like I just wanted my computer back to play League of Legends or something. And yeah, so he used to make like Bitcoins, but it probably hundreds of Bitcoins, but obviously he sold them to like local currency to make living and spend them.
Yeah, so you knew about crypto very early on, but didn't actually get into like crypto security development until much later than that.
Yeah, definitely. Because also back then you didn't have like complex systems. You know, you had like Bitcoin light paper, and that's it. You have like transaction between wallets. You transfer value from one wallet to another, but you don't have all the complexity on top of it, like Ethereum, EVM, and smart contracts that basically have a lot of bugs usually.
Yeah, things were much simpler back then. Like now the complexity is just crazy. It's with all the smart contracts and like constantly them getting hacked. Yeah, it's changed a
Yeah,
lot, 100% compared to
and the
back
more
then.
complex the code base is, the more probability that you can find bugs there, and you have so many blockchains these days and so many technologies. If it's like Solana, Rust, and Cosmos, and Aptos, and Starknet, and EVM, like it's hard not to make mistakes. And back then it was only Bitcoin, you know, it's like wallet A, wallet B, sending transactions. So it wasn't like such a big thing like security, like in terms of like vulnerabilities that, yeah, there was Mt. Gox hack. It was more like Web2, like hacking, you know, it's centralized exchanges that get hacked or go bankruptcy or like rug pull the users. That was the thing back then. Apparently it's also the thing right now, you know, when you see like what happens with FTX. So banks and centralized exchanges, you know, it's like you put your trust in other people. Who knows who are these people? And even if it feels like the most like secure thing, and you feel that your funds are safe, like CZ says, sometimes they are not very safe, and the biggest might fall, and you're gonna fall with them because you put your trust in them.
Yeah, that's crypto Twitter is just going crazy with the FTX stuff recently. I'm sure you've been following it. Like, I just can't believe people still put their money in centralized exchanges these days. Like, how many times does this sort of thing have to happen before people, sort of learn their lesson around this, you know?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that we have to remember that not everyone is like as into crypto and Web3 and DeFi as we are, because we are familiar. Like you have the newbies that they don't even know what Bitcoin is. They don't even know what Ethereum. They just like heard in the news, or some friend told me, bro, buy Bitcoin because it's going to be 100K or 200K. And he's like, how do I buy Bitcoin? Of course, open account in Binance and you can put your credit card and blah, blah, blah. They don't understand that the philosophy behind Bitcoin, the philosophy behind crypto, that it's finally money that you control, that is not controlled by banks or centralized entities. You don't have to put your trust anywhere. You just hold your keys and that's it. You're in control of the funds. It's not even your funds if you think about it. Because what does it mean like Andy's wallet or Johnny's wallet? There is no label on this wallet that it's like Andy's. No, there is a wallet somewhere in the blockchain, in the universe. And it's like cryptography, pair of private key and public key. And Andy knows the private key that will unlock this wallet, and he can sign transaction to move value out of his wallet. But it's not actually Andy's wallet. It's not like a bank account or a Binance account where you sign up and you put your email and KYC and all these kind of things. So it's a different concept that it's hard to process, especially for beginners. So the easy way, yeah, let's open account in SEX, in centralized exchanges. And yeah, so far if you think about it, it's like it can happen also in DeFi. And unfortunately, there are hacks in DeFi as well. When you use protocols, or Terra Luna Collapse, it was DeFi, right? It was a blockchain with smart contracts and some kind of mechanism that preserved the peg, an algorithm that preserve a stablecoin peg. So everywhere where there is money involved, especially when the industry is so young and it's so early, yeah, this is part of the evolution, I guess. And obviously, centralized exchanges are not the solution. I do believe that decentralized exchanges and decentralized finance will bring more trust and more like security, peace of mind, so people can go to sleep at night and feel better than holding your money in centralized exchanges. And this events like just shows how true it is, that DeFi is gonna be safer, should be safer than centralized exchanges. When you see the biggest exchange falls apart, like this FTX scandal.
Yeah, so I mean, centralized exchanges versus DeFi, there are trade-offs, but obviously we're in crypto, so we should go more decentralized as the technology improves, because that's the whole point of crypto, right? Like, why would we even build this whole system unless it's to go more decentralized? Like, we don't need to, like, I guess there is a need to have some sort of on-ramp for people to get on, but slowly as time progresses, it's definitely good to go more decentralized. But there's still also trade-offs, like for DeFi, like we mentioned before, more complexities, right? So in the smart contracts, if you make a mistake in the code, your money is just like poof, it's just gone. Pretty much like almost like a rug pull from a centralized exchange. So I guess this is where why Web3 security is so important. We have to actually improve things to the point where it's actually it's actually more safer to keep your money in decentralized exchanges, essentially.
Definitely. It's an evolution, it's like when humanity moved from horses to cars. I don't know, I didn't live back then, but I don't think it was like one day. It's a process. So you have Bitcoin, and then you have other more advanced, I would say, like cryptocurrencies where you can build logic on top of Ethereum, like the world machine, the biggest like world machine. So you can build logic, you can build like advanced DeFi applications like lending and borrowing, like automated market makers, NFT marketplaces, and vice versa, tokenized assets, whatever. But the centralized exchanges are a step in this process. I do think the end game, the end goal is eventually everything will be decentralized, everything will be trustless. But the centralized exchanges are playing a big role, an important role, I think, in this kind of revolution, because as you say, the user experience in DeFi and in Web3 is far from the best. The fact that you need to sign every time a transaction and create a wallet and backup a recovery, all these kind of things are. And let's not talk about reading smart contracts. This is even more like advanced to understand like how these protocols works, and AMM, adding liquidity, routers and swaps. It's like super advanced, and the users, especially when they onboard first time into crypto, they're used to opening accounts. So the UX of Web3, it what helps them to get on board. The UX of Web2 helps them get on board to Web3. It's their gateway, also their fiat gateway, because like, how do they buy Bitcoin? How do you buy Bitcoin? There are peer-to-peer ways. You can meet someone and like give him like, I don't know, cash or a transfer, and he can give you Bitcoins. But how do you find these people? So it's not that easy. So these centralized exchanges are also playing an important role of behaving as the gate from fiat and for adoption, right? Because most of the people, their first crypto would be like, they bought like some kind of, I don't know, USD in Coinbase or Binance or FTX, and then they bought Bitcoin, and then they found out they can withdraw to their own wallet, And then, a new whole world opens. Wow, I have a wallet. Wow, I control it. Wow, I don't need to sign up. Wow, it's not connected to my name. I just have the private key. I can send it for like low fees, no permissions, 24/7. That's great. Wait, I can also withdraw it to my Ethereum wallet. Can I deposit Ethereum and borrow USDT on top of it on Aave? Wow. And then, a whole new world opens. So it's like a process. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but like smart contracts, they're so complex, and the security vulnerabilities are just so hard to flesh out. And like after learning more and more and understanding about like Web3 security and smart contract auditing, I'm like too paranoid to even interact with any smart contract projects. I'm like, I don't even want to touch them. I just want to keep my crypto in my wallet and just not interact with anything. Like even with the the big projects, I'm like paranoid.
Yeah, I totally get you, especially because I lost money on a lot of DeFi projects. If it's like rug pools or like but and back then I didn't know how to read the smart. It's not that I didn't know, but I didn't put the time into actually reading the smart contract. But I just saw that they went through audits, and what you're saying is very interesting, because our goal as like security researchers to help like Web3 evolve and to get more mass adoptions, we want to give peace of mind for the users, so they can deposit the money or perform a swap and feel like, yeah, I feel good, I feel it's safe, even safer than centralized exchanges. And unfortunately, we are not there yet, because Solidity is so complex and there are so many hacks and vulnerabilities in smart contracts. And yeah, it's mind-blowing, because when I started with solidity, security, and hacking, and you see all the pitfalls and all the problems that this technology has, and it's like a complete different concept. You have similarities with traditional cybersecurity, but it's very, very different also at the same time. Especially when these contracts hold tons, millions of dollars, billions of dollars of money. So yeah, I think that we as security researchers have an important role in the future of evolution and mass adoptions of this technology, this amazing technology, because people need to feel safe, even more than traditional cybersecurity. Because in traditional cybersecurity, if you get hacked, yeah, your data is getting hacked, you know? You get impersonated, you get like sensitive data, which is also important. You know, your privacy is important, the data is important, the company's data is important. But in Web3 and smart contracts, when a contract is getting hacked, it's actually assets. It's like every app on Web3 is like a bank account, you know, because when it's not data getting hacked, it's assets that are liquid that someone can just swap them and just get away with the money. It's even worse than hacking a bank, because the bank, it's a centralized database where they can reserve, they can revert the database, revert the state, and that's it. Nothing happened. In that case, no, you don't have control. Most of the times, you don't have control, you know. And so if a hack happened, it's gone. And that's why it's fascinating and super interesting. And I do believe that's why I'm inspired, you know, in this kind of field, because I know how important it is to contribute to the industry in the security term of blockchain.
Yeah, I think that's what attracted me to this field as well. Just like the impact that you can make, like how much money that you can save people. And I kind of compare it to smart contracts to like having your banking APIs exposed to the internet. You know, like everyone can call them, and sometimes like in a smart contract you forget to put like a only owner modifier on it, and then they just literally just like withdraw your money. Just some random guy just comes along and just takes money out of your account. Like things like that still happen like to this day. It just kind of boggles my mind. Like some of the small projects I've seen, the hacks are just like so trivial. It's literally like maybe
they didn't put a modifier or something on a function, or like something very trivial.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like cybersecurity in the 90s maybe, because back then it was like people leaving default creds on the internet, and then you just like log in and then steal their data or whatever. And now it's kind of like that same situation with the smart contracts. Like so many just trivial hacks getting, you know, like people losing millions of dollars from these hacks.
Yeah, it's very, very early and very trivial hacks a lot of times. Sometimes there are more complex hacks, like cross-bridge hacks of like advanced hacks. But yeah, most of them are complex, which, like you said, reminds me of like the early of Web3, when it was very easy. You just put a comma and you have an SQL injection, or you just like put like a script tags and they don't even check, and that's it. You have your alert, you steal the cookie of the user. So that's how it feels now with Web3, when now you have all this kind of sanitation mechanism built in the languages, in the libraries, you know, in the frameworks themselves, right? But it's harder to make mistakes now. In like there are still like hacks in Web3, and if it's like web applications, because eventually every program is vulnerable because it's being written by people. You know, we are the ones who make the mistake. It's not a programming language problem, but it's also we design the programming language and we design the algorithms. So it's just people making mistakes most of the times. And yeah, we are very early, and the impact is huge, more than Web 2, because there is money involved in every hack, a lot of money involved, and no more than an exposed API of a bank, because there is no way to revert it most of the times. Sometimes, you know, some of the smart contracts are more centralized. You know, the team has this kind of upgradability options, or like ownership, ownable and posable contracts, all these kind of things, which is like another step in decentralization and Web3. You know, like centralized exchanges, centralized DeFi products, completely decentralized DeFi products ruled by the governance and the DAO, or whatever. So this is like a process. And yeah, sometimes the team can like revert the hack, or restore some funds, and sometimes that's it. If it's like too decentralized, you cannot have all at once. You cannot be truly decentralized, and once something bad happens, if code is the law, code is really the law. That's it. The funds are lost. So it's like the trade-off between like centralization, where you can like, when something goes wrong, revive it, to completely decentralization. The trade-off is like that once something goes wrong, everything goes wrong.
Yeah. I did an interview with 100 Proof where he found a bounty worth 150K on Immunify. And what he said was, we kind of live in a very unique time in history where you can be a enthusiastic, medium level sort of security person to be able to make exceptional amounts of money, but you have to be like insanely skilled in Web2 to make the equivalent amount. There's just more impact here in Web3 at the moment.
Yes, because the bug bounties are so high, and yeah, it's a stage. I think it's a stage. There is a lot of money on the stake, which you can understand why there is a lot of demand for security researchers and hackers. And at the same time, you don't have that many people who understand how blockchains works and how EVM and Solidity and Cosmos works. So it's like in traditional market situation, there is a lot of demand and very low supply, especially when these concepts are very complex and hard to grasp, especially if you're a beginner. If you don't have any technical background, it's very hard to make it to start from smart contract development and smart contract hacking. At least you have to have some experience in like prior development experience and prior cybersecurity experience, or your journey will be a bit longer. But you don't have that many people that understand how blockchain works. On top of that, you don't have many people who understand how Ethereum and Solidity and EVM works. On top of that, you don't have many people that understand all the security problems that Ethereum and Solidity has, which makes it like very, very narrow talent pool. And I have a lot of friends from traditional cybersecurity, and I'll tell them that I'm doing Web3 security, Web3 hacking, and they're telling me, yeah, Bitcoin stuff, right? And I was like, no, there is so much more than that, And they don't even know. They are doing like malware analysis and like reverse engineering, but they are not even aware that there is this kind of world of Web3 where every Monday and every Thursday there is $100 million hack. If they would know, I do believe that they would either quit the job and just go and learn it, or so I'm that's what I'm like talking with them, like, bro, you didn't know that yesterday $100 million were stolen from smart contracts? Like, what, really? Yeah, it's like there are like everyday hacks, and there is a lot of talent there in traditional cybersecurity. And I believe that more talent will come to Web3. It will be challenging to do this kind of shift from Web2 to Web3, but eventually you will see more security professionals, cybersecurity professionals comes into the space and helping to secure it. And yeah, I want to take part in this. I see the stage now, how hell it is and how it's going to change. And it brings a lot of opportunities if it's like bug bounty hunting or super high salaries. As a security auditor in Spearbit, I watched the interview. I loved it with 100 Proof. So you talked a bit about salaries, which are insanely higher, and bug bounties are higher. And yeah, there will be more demand. Obviously, the prices will go down, and also the expenses for Web3 projects will be lower because there will be more demand, but we are not there yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of Web2 people, they either don't understand it or don't want to understand it, or they just think the whole space is full of like scammy shit coins.
Exactly.
I was kind of in that same place. Like, I thought the whole space was just like scammy Ponzi scheme, and I just didn't want to know about it, until I sort of got exposed to the space from a security perspective and approached it. In that frame of mind was when I started to find the space interesting. And yeah, I think you're right. Like, slowly more people will come to Web3 security from Web2. And there is a lot of opportunity for those like high level people to switch over as well. Like, I don't know if you've been on Code Arena, the bug bounties there. Like I've noticed recently, like some very like high level people just popped out of nowhere and started just crushing the leaderboard, like earning 10K a week on Code Arena. And I had a look at some of their like blogs and stuff. They came from like a very advanced exploit development, a kind of traditional cybersecurity background. And I was surprised like how quickly some of those guys were able to transition their skills into Web3, which I'm not at that level in Web2, but it's still like, for me, it only took me like maybe 6 months to 9 months or so of self-learning to sort of get to that base level where I'm able to find a job as a smart contract auditor. So it doesn't like take that long to transition, like not as long as a lot of people think.
Yeah, definitely. The more experience you have in tech and development and cybersecurity, it will be easier to do this kind of shift. And of course, when someone is doing, let's say, vulnerability research for 5 years and is just like so skilled and looking at programs and how they work and how to break them, and sometimes it's very advanced programs, because when someone is searching for a vulnerability in iOS, let's say, he doesn't get a source code of Apple. He just go and reverse engineers and fuzz the shit out of it until he like finds a memory leak or like a bug where he can inject his code, his like I don't know, his shell code. And now it's simpler when you get a source code. When you see like you just need to learn Solidity, and when you do like contest on Code4Arena, it's like a white. All this kind of auditing, if you think about it, it's like white box. From traditional cybersecurity, it's not like black box, because once you hack a web server, you don't know the code that there is in the backend. Or once you hack, I don't know, you find vulnerability in Microsoft, in Windows operating system, you don't have the source code. You have only the binaries. You need to reverse engineer it. You need to read assembly. You need to fuzz like all these kind of inputs. And here in Solidity, it's like open source. It's white box. So I think that for these people that did like black box vulnerability research, when they come to Solidity, it's like bread and butter. It's a piece of cake. It's easier for them to adapt, because they already have the attacker mindset. They are already adjusted to look at like program and like try, and they have also the success, like they found vulnerabilities in their life. So that's why I think you see this kind of people like killing it in Code4Arena. But imagine that maybe these people can also find vulnerabilities like smart contracts that are not open source, because there are not a lot of contracts. Most of the big projects that have like big amount of money, TVL, total value locked, mostly the smart contracts are verified. They have like the GitHub repository open, but some project have millions of dollars and the code is not even open. The contract is in Etherscan, but it's only bytecodes. And these guys that you're talking about, they're used to this kind of, to read these bytecodes, this assembly code, and try to hack this kind of code. So
yeah, those reverse engineering skills will 100% come in handy when it comes to reversing bytecode and that kind of stuff. And also, I think we mentioned like the smart contract security is very complex, but in a way, it's actually less complex because, as you said, it's open source. You can look at the source code, and the source code is short, like really, really short compared to like traditional programs, right? It's only like, you can see projects that's like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 lines of code, and you can build very complex systems with just like 3,000 lines of Solidity code. And even in those 3,000 lines, there are tons of vulnerabilities, and you don't even have to like review that many lines of code to find the vulnerabilities. It's so dense, so in a way it's like simpler. I don't know, like in a way it's simpler, in a way it's more complex. And I think it's more easier to find like an insanely high bug bounty paying like over $1 million in Web 3 compared to Web 2. Like if you're doing exploit development work in Web 2 and you have to like make a whole exploit chain, right? And then you probably need people who are specialized in each part of the chain and then combine them together to get like an RCE on Android or Apple or something like that. But in Web3, you just have one dude just comes along and just like finds $1 million bug in like, you know, like these massive projects. I don't know, like, is it really more difficult? It's kind of hard to say, right?
It's just different. It's different, and there is not that many people who are doing that. That's why we are early, and that's I think this is the reason we have this kind of opportunities. Yeah, and like you said, it's funny. Like it's the much shorter code, which is supposed to be simpler, but the way Solidity and EVM works, that it's deterministic and it's like transaction based. Like it's a different concept if you think about it, because you cannot like run automatically tasks. It's a different way of programming, because like it's a transactions that triggers a function in smart contract, which then these smart contracts have connections with other smart contracts. A lot of smart contracts might be, and it's like a different thing, you know. It's like it has its own world where it operates and it moves assets, and then it has like ERC20 tokens, which is like a completely different smart contract. And these ERC20 tokens are sometimes unexpected because every ERC20 token is different. So when you build something that works with ERC tokens, and the developer expects that the ERC token will behave in way X, suddenly there is one ERC token that behaves in way Y. That's why it's more complicated, because there is a lot of things that are out of your control, right? If you're creating a staking app that supports like, I don't know, like ERC20 tokens, you're like, yeah, it should work as I expect. But then there comes this kind of ERC tokens that you add support in the protocol that you didn't read its code, and this one function that has in this ERC20 token fucks up the whole system, the whole staking system. So it's like, it's also more complicated, because it's not only these 2,000 line of codes, but it's like re-entrancy attacks and tokens, contracts, and upgradability, and a whole front-running thing, that a lot of new concepts that developers don't think about. And it's like easy to think about it like, hey, it's only 2,000 line of codes and that's it. No, but it operates in the whole blockchain system that is very unexpected and is very changing all the time. And what 100 his nickname is like 100 proof, I don't remember. Yep, in the previous interview, what he said is like he found a bug in Notional that no one saw in audits, because it's like an evolution, that the state is changing, and the state is dependent on like suddenly a flash loan that he could take from Aave and manipulate the whole system. That's why it's more complex. That's why it's different, and that's why it's more interesting.
Yeah, it's the interaction between the other sort of protocols. Yeah, that's what makes it complicated. And I guess there's less standardization as well in this space. Like we have some standards coming through, like with Open Zeppelin, but it's still growing, right? It's still slow progress, and I think it will get better over time as people start to learn and follow these types of standards.
Yeah, it's a wild west right now, but if you think about it, still the progress that we made so far is pretty impressive, you know, because back then when I learned first time on Ethereum in 2017, I was like, what the hell is Ethereum? What am I doing with it? And now we have like all kinds of DeFi apps of lending and borrowing and leveraging and options trading and index funds and what's not. So I do think that it's like still like it goes fast, and obviously the security will have to get a pace to keep up with these protocols, because the more money gets into DeFi and to these kind of smart contracts and protocols, the more important it's going to be. And that's our job, to make these apps safe, I guess.
Yeah, DeFi has grown so quickly. Like 2015, it was Ethereum just first came out, and then we had like ICOs, and then the next cycle was DeFi. So every like market cycle, we had huge like growth in the types of protocols that has been developed during that market cycle. And yeah, certainly I do foresee there will be more complexity coming into the system, where we are still just kind of catching up to the security implications of the technology that came out like last cycle. So like more vulnerability is going to come, and yeah, we're doing like a lot of catch-up work here essentially.
Oh, definitely. Because if you think about it, Ethereum has like if you think like of the 7 layers of or like the network layers, you know, the physical, the network layer, IP layer, all these kind of layers. So Ethereum is like the fundamental, right? Ethereum is like EVM, and Ethereum is like the fundamentals. And then on top of it, you have like smart contracts and nodes and all these kind of things. And Ethereum is changing, and there is suddenly like on top of Ethereum, ZK rollups and optimistic rollups. And every project has its own implementation. Starknet, for example, and Cairo, a new programming language that is on top of Ethereum with zero knowledge proofs that are being processed on a smart contract on Ethereum. So there are vulnerabilities. So it gets more and more and more and more complex. And so even if like the security advanced, the technology is being more advanced, and the technology is getting more advanced, is being changed, it opens a bunch whole of new security problems.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, you really love education because after the IDF, you went to teach at a private college, and then you went to Singapore doing some teaching. And actually, I can't believe we haven't mentioned this. You have a YouTube channel that's got 10,000 subscribers. I think you almost got 10,000.
Maybe after this interview, 10,000.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, you post a lot of security related stuff around blockchain, which I think is really great, because I'm pretty sure I watched some of your videos early like this year when I was learning about this stuff for the first time, like your videos on reentrancy and your damn vulnerable DeFi kind of walkthroughs. Yeah, that's really cool. So like what sort of motivated you to start your YouTube channel in the first place?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I love education. I discovered it back in my service, in my military service, and I also discovered that I'm quite good at it. I like it, I love it to take like advanced and complex ideas and just simplify them in a way that will be engaging for someone to listen and to grasp this kind of information. That's what I discovered back then in the military. And I said like, okay, I love education, I love public speaking, I love to see the progress that people make, that I teach them something new. And that's why also after my military service, I went to a private college. It wasn't a full-time job, it was just like, you know, like part-time a job once in a while, coming and teaching either soldiers or like private companies about cybersecurity, and sometimes about blockchains as well. Then in Singapore, I did education for 1.5 years. And meanwhile, my work in Singapore, I got introduced into DeFi, and I was just amazed about in the progress that this industry made, because I remember the last time I read Solidity code was in 2017 and 2018, when it was like very like shitty, and everything was like, it was hard to understand how to work with the development tools, with Truffle, and you didn't have like ethers like you have now. You had like Web3 JS library, which is horrible. Maybe now it's a bit better, but back then I remember trying to write Solidity code, and it was very, very hard. And suddenly you see all these kind of DeFi protocols, and you connect with your MetaMask wallet to Uniswap, and you just swap tokens. And I was like, what? How does it work? I was amazed by the fact that I can just buy and sell Ethereum directly from my MetaMask wallet, connecting it to Uniswap. And then I found out about PancakeSwap, that you can also make like passive income by providing liquidity. Like I understood like how this kind of Uniswap works, you know, that it's an AMM with liquidity, that you can add liquidity and stuff. And I was very excited about DeFi and blockchain again, you know, because there is like some new thing, new technology that I love. and I use it to make like passive income. I use like to provide liquidity and to do farming and lending protocols and all these kind of things. And I was like, okay, I'm a bit tired of Singapore. What do I do now? Because I also wanted to leave and like go change to this kind of like different lifestyle, especially where COVID was like crazy there and the restrictions were pretty high. And what do I do? So what I wanted to do is like share my passion with other people and do what I love. That's why I started the YouTube channel. And I started back then in May 2021. And for me, it was like doing what I love, meanwhile sharing interesting ideas with people and sharing what I am doing, what's working for me. So if I'm like providing liquidity and staking in PancakeSwap, I tell them how it works. I'm doing research myself, how PancakeSwap staking contract works, how liquidity providing works, how AMMs works. Or if it's like a play to earn game, again, I look at like the vision of the company or the project, and I choose whether if I want to invest in it, and if I like it, I just share it with the people. And obviously it leads to reading also more smart contracts and understanding how these protocols worked more deeply in the background. And also I'm just like you, sharing your journey in like Web3. I was sharing my journey in DeFi and teaching stuff, what I'm doing and how things work. And the more I got into DeFi, I learned more about Solidity and smart contracts. And around last year, when we saw that all DeFi is Ponzi schemes, no, just kidding. But a lot of like, I found out on my own flesh and blood that all these kind of farm tokens are eventually, I learned about inflation and about like the fact that they cannot like mint tokens forever without finding utility, and the price will go up all the time. And I got burned a lot of times in a lot of DeFi protocols. If it's like Terra, Luna, UST, Collapse, or like I just held into the cake token without taking profits because I did believe that it's gonna be like $200 one day, because I did believe I still believe in the vision of PancakeSwap. But you know, when the code is open source and every Monday and Thursday someone is copying you and offering like higher yields, it's hard. It's a lot of competition, a lot of copycats, and also to create like a strong tokenomics, it's challenging. So I learned more about tokenomics, about DeFi protocols, about smart contracts, and I think like 8 months ago, I was like, okay, in my YouTube channel, I was like, I didn't have like, after the Luna collapse, the Terra Luna USD collapse, I was like, there is not much interesting stuff right now to talk about DeFi. The yields are not very interesting for the risk that you're taking, putting your money in these smart contracts for now. There are still good opportunities, which I share on my channel, but I did cover a lot already. And I was like, what is the next thing? What is the interesting next thing that I want to learn better and educate people better? And then I hear that every Monday and Thursday there's like hack of $100 million. I'm like, what the fuck? No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's like, how it's possible that so much money is being stolen by hackers? And I decided I'm gonna combine my passion to education, to blockchain and cybersecurity, and do all at once. That was like a sign from God. That's what you need to focus. Like I woke up one morning and like, how didn't you think about it earlier? You need to focus your energy on Web3 security and teach people Web3 security. And this is your value proposition to society right now, because there is the need, and this is what you love to do. And yeah, that's what you should do. So I did a shift a bit from DeFi. I still do DeFi, but I did a shift for more in-depth Solidity. I learned Solidity more and other technologies as well. Got introduced to security, Web3 security, and started creating code and content around Web3 security.
I think teaching what you're trying to learn, that really helps you internalize the stuff as well, because you have to understand it to some extent before you can actually talk about it without sounding like an idiot. So I think that definitely helped me as well on my channel. I'm sort of just like, I sort of started around the same time as you, I think maybe a couple of months before you, on my YouTube channel, mainly to just document my journey, like in sort of like a blog format, and just
blogging.
just to let people know what sort of things I'm learning, and also help me internalize the concepts as I make the videos and try to explain it as well. And I think YouTube really gave me motivation as well in a way, because I was always like, oh, what should I learn next, and post about, and then I would go about and just learn the thing and then post about something. Like, I think around the beginning of this year, I didn't post any content for like 3 months or so, because I wasn't really learning anything at that time. And then I was like, oh, I got to get into like this smart contract stuff. And then suddenly I had a lot of content again, like doing the bug bounties in Code Arena, and learning about smart contract security. So I think in a way, it's really beneficial to have a blog and just to motivate yourself. And it's pretty good to like get your name out there as well, right? To land a job for like students who maybe want to land that first job in cybersecurity or Web3 or whatever. Like, get your name out there and make a blog, and then document your journey. It's kind of like a lot of benefits rolled into one.
Yeah, 100%, especially when it's so easy these days. It's free. Anyone can open a YouTube channel. Like, anyone can start writing on Medium. So, and as you said, it motivates you and it forces you to learn better, because once you teach something, you have to master it. You have to master it because, you know, there is like knowing something, understanding something, and then teaching. Teaching, you really need to understand it, because you need to make other people understand what's going on in your mind. So you need to like master it in very high levels, and that's what motivated me also to continue and create content. And that's another plus that we as content creators has. It pushes us to our limits. It pushes us, when I talk about the protocol, to understand exactly how this protocol works, to read the docs, to read a smart contract. When we talk about them vulnerable DeFi solution or walkthrough, we need to really understand how this flash loan works and how to explain it to people. And that's a big plus. It's like you're pushing yourself to the limits. That's why I love education, because it's like pushes me to learn and get better. And it's funny thing to say, but back then in my IDF military service, it was always known that the strongest cybersecurity engineers are the commanders, the one who teach, you know, because after you finish the course, some people go to, I don't know, to be in SOC, in the Navy, to be in PT, in the Air Force, or whatever. You have a different type of teams all over the military. And then you have this team that its job is to educate and create and basically train the next generation. That's what I did, part of my job. And then there was like once a year, there was like a CTF competition where they bring all the teams into a one huge place. They put like epic soundtrack of movies, you know, epic music, and you have a competition, a CTF, hacking competition, reverse engineering challenges, all these kind of cool cybersecurity CTFs. And guess who took the first place? From all the teams all over IDF.
Nice.
Yeah. So the teachers, the commanders, because once you teach something, you really need to master it. You really need to do research. Because when you come in front of the students, you want to show them cool stuff. You want to show them like the advanced stuff. And yeah, we took the first place, the teachers, and that just connects to what you just said. When you teach something, you just have to master it.
Yeah, I guess that's why you're also making a smart contract security course, which you're actually working on right now. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So part of my contribution to the space, and I know my skills, I know I'm good at education, and I want to simplify things, especially when this industry is so complex and smart contract security is so complex. You don't actually have like some kind of product or one thing that can get you in the space. When I started learning smart contract security, I went all over the place. If it's like YouTube, Medium articles, Open Zeppelin, and what's not, Certic, Trail of Bits. I went through all these kind of resources, learning bits here, bits there. You have some kind of good CTF, but there is no like structured course like in traditional cybersecurity or even in traditional development. If you look at Solidity development or Web3 dApp creation, you have courses. You have like, okay, lesson exercises. And I decided to take the responsibility and to build something that people can just take this kind of course, and after this course they have the kickoff, they have the fundamentals where you can with confidence say, we can hack smart contracts, we can do smart contract audits. That's my vision, that's my initial vision, to create this kind of product that helps people get into the industry. If they are developers, if they are Web3 cybersecurity researchers, or just beginners. My goal is to bring more talent to the industry because I know how important it is. And you don't have these products these days. If you go to all the famous websites of courses, Udemy or stuff like this, and you search for smart contract hacking, smart contract security, it just doesn't there. The first results are developing on Ethereum, developing smart contracts in Solidity. You don't have a course that focuses on how to write secure smart contracts or how to hack smart contracts. Unlike if you search for penetration testing or web application hacking, you have like tons of courses that are good. And yeah, so I decided to build this kind of course for society. And it also like obviously it's like a good business opportunity because you don't have much competition. And I believe that I have the skills and the passion to create this kind of product. And in the long-term vision, as I see it, because my love to education, my long-term vision is to build this kind of academy, blockchain security academy, which will be the one-stop shop for blockchain security. So it could be like trainings for companies that, cybersecurity Web2 companies that want to shift into Web3 to learn about blockchain security, or maybe complete beginners that want to do a boot camp from zero to hero and become smart contract researchers, or maybe someone who wants to master Cairo security or Cosmos security or Aptos security. So this is the long-term like vision to be like the blockchain academy with certificates and NFTs and stuff, and bring more talent and educate people and train people to make this Web3 industry a safer place. So this is what I'm currently working on. I already have a landing page where people can sign up. So once the course is ready, they will get notified, and obviously they will get a better price and better offer because they came early on, they supported me early on. And yeah.
Nice. You actually reached out to me to see if I wanted to help you building out this course. You know, I kind of want to, and it sounds super interesting, but I'm like, oh man, like I'm starting a job next month, and I kind of just really hard to find that time, man. Like maybe people, the viewers, if you want me to join JohnnyTime in making this course, you can leave a comment. Just leave a comment down below. Try to motivate me to join Johnny in building this course out. But yeah, I mean, it sounds super interesting. And when I looked at the website, I was keen to have a look at the material. So when do you think you will release the course? Because it's still sort of in development, right?
Yeah, so I totally feel you, because I know how it is when you have like 10 different things and you need to say no to stuff. And I did offer you to join me and work with me, and I appreciate like you do have other stuff. You're starting a new job, you have the YouTube channel, you're doing contents here and where, interviews. And yeah, so I feel you, because I also doing a lot of things simultaneously, and it's hard to do, like you cannot do all at once. You cannot dance into weddings, so like eat the cake and then eat it again. So, and when the course will be ready, depends if you change your mind and join me. There is
so the offer's still on the table.
The offer is still on the table. The offer is still on the tables, and yeah, and if maybe the viewers, let's see what they think about it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely the goal is to release the course on early Q1 2023, because I really want to make sure that it's really good product, it's really good course. You know, when someone takes it and is just like going through this kind of road that I'm building for him, and he's like, damn, I'm learning so much, and smart contract hacking is not that hard, and is actually practicing. I want to bring my experience of creating materials. I do believe that once you watch someone talking about something, you know, people might watch us now or listen in like earphones, like a podcast. It's great. I do it a lot of times. That's how I listened to your previous interview with the 150K bounty. It's great. But if you really want to get good at it, you have to get your hands dirty. You have to read and write solidity code, read contracts, write tests, write proof of concepts, you know, find these kind of vulnerabilities. And my goal, my vision when I create this course, not vision, it's already in practice. I teach you concept, then you have like tons of exercises where you're gonna practice yourself, you know, like CTFs. You're gonna write code, you're gonna hack contracts. And that's actually how you absorb the knowledge, how you sharpen your skills, not by listening to someone that explains to you how reentry works, but by actually looking at contracts and finding reentry attacks, different types of reentry attacks, and exploiting them yourself and see the results. And I want the course to be super practical. Of course, there will be walkthrough to every kind of exercise, but it will be very, very practical. And I want people to finish the course and like, damn, I learned so much. This is an amazing course. And obviously tell their friends about it. So that's why I'm sorry that it's like postponed, but I'm still trying to figure out like how to make it perfect. And this is one of my problems. I remember when I told to you, when I talked about it with you, you said like, yeah, just release something and then you can add more stuff. And I'm like a bit more perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect. And maybe if you join me, we can ship it by New Year's Eve or something, you know, be like an epic like launch or something. But I will do my best because yeah, I'm just constantly working on creating the materials and working and recording them and exercises and stuff. It's tons of work.
Yeah, definitely a lot of work, and it's the industry is really lacking like a structured sort of learning material because yeah, when I went through just learning smart contract security myself, it was just like taking bits and pieces everywhere and a lot of my own research. So definitely make things a bit easier to have everything in one place. And you also, so you're like working all sorts of stuff. You've got, you know, like trying to prioritize a lot of different types of work. And you are also living that digital nomad life. So let's talk a bit about that. How did you sort of get into that? Because a lot of Web3 security folks or just Web3 developers or people like that, they seem to start living that digital nomad life once they can work remotely and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, how did you get into that, and what is it actually like?
Yeah, oh, that's a great question. So how did I get to it? So when COVID just started, I relocated to Singapore for my job. You know, I got a job offer. I did a relocation from Israel to Singapore. This is the first time I lived abroad. I did travel, but you know, Israel was my base all my life. I grew up in Israel. I lived in Israel, and then the first time I lived by myself abroad, also Asia. It's like, you know, the other side of the world, different culture, like all kinds of new things, and it gave me confidence. Okay, that I can be away from my family, even though I miss them and I love them so much. And you know, it's hard when you're away from your family, your parents, your brother. And it just gave me this kind of confidence that the world is small and you can be wherever you want. Okay, and ironically, when I got this confidence, all this kind of COVID thing started, where they restrict your movement and you cannot fly, you cannot like go from one place to another. And unfortunately, I couldn't visit other countries in Asia, even though I wanted to, like Thailand, Philippines. I was just in Singapore all this kind of time, this whole time. And then I decided to move to Ukraine, to Kiev,
When was
because
that?
it was, yeah, when I decided to quit my job to start my YouTube channel around like July 2021. I also moved to Ukraine, July 2021. because my best friend was living there, and also we had like a group of like childhood friends that moved there, and he told me like I wasn't sure about it. I was like, maybe I'll go to Portugal, maybe I'll go to Kiev, but I'm definitely not going back to Israel because the taxes are damn high, and I don't want to pay damn high taxes. And I was like, yeah, let's check it out, Ukraine. I'm gonna be there 2 weeks. If I love it, I will stay. If not, moving on to Portugal or something. And then I loved it, and I really fell in love in Kiev, and we were like group of friends, and it was amazing. You know, I met new friends, Ukrainians, like foreigners as well. You know, from all over the world. It became like Kiev was like an amazing place. It used to be like a hub, a very friendly place, very comfortable. Everything. It's much cheaper than anything you could imagine. The service is amazing. People are nice, and you just live the life that you want with friends, with everything is just easy and nice. And then the whole thing of war started. So I had a home in Kiev, I had friends, I had everything in Kiev, and then the whole war started. And my girlfriend and I, we went from Kiev, from our home for the last 6 months, to Budapest. We were in Budapest. Also, we helped some refugees to get accommodation, to get food. You know, we rented some apartments. I know a great guy in Budapest that have like real estate. He's doing Airbnb. This is his business. Some of the apartments are his clients. Some of them are his. He owns them. And I told him about a situation that we just came from Ukraine, and we have a lot of people and families, you know, like mothers with like little kids that don't have where to sleep. They just drove like 40 hours all the way where they have like airplanes, jets, and missiles on top of their head, and they don't have where to sleep or what to eat. So this guide helped us to get like very cheap, get like rental real estate with like a cheap prices. We used to go to the supermarket and buy groceries for them, and we supported some Ukrainians, mothers and families with kids. And then after like 3 months in Budapest, I went to Israel to visit my family. And then I cannot stay. There is like limit amount of days that I can stay in Israel until I start paying taxes in Israel. So I'm trying not to get to this limit. And I thought like, what could be my next destination? And both me and my girlfriend love to dance salsa and bachata. I don't know if any of the viewers are familiar with what it is, but it's like Latin partner dancers. I'm dancing salsa for almost 10 years, teaching salsa as well, as part of my love for education. And yeah, so we went to Spain because there was a festival in Spain, and then we went to Serbia because there was a festival in Serbia, and then to Israel, and then now to Poland. And we found ourselves in the last year just traveling every 2 or 3 months to different countries, with 3 suitcases just after festivals. And we found out that we love it. You know, it's super cool, it's super convenient, not that expensive that you might think. Actually, much cheaper than living in Singapore or in Israel. And there are pros and cons. We currently like it. Maybe we will change our mind when we just more settle down or something. But we love it. It's very comfortable. Both of us work from the computer, remote jobs. So we get our payments, we get our money. We have our money where we can use everywhere. And yeah, we don't know what will be our next destination. We're right now in Poland, and we think maybe Portugal, maybe Greece, maybe Cyprus, maybe Spain, maybe even Latin America, maybe even Singapore again. I don't know. I don't know where I'm gonna be in 2 months, and that's what I love about it. It's very exciting.
That is a pretty crazy story. I mean, you were in the thick of it during the Ukraine refugee crisis as well. What was that like? Like, were you scared? Like with your girlfriend living there and helping people try to cross the border and that?
Yeah, so before it started, I didn't believe that anything gonna happen because, you know, you live there and everything is normal. You know, there are cafes, there are restaurants, people walking in the street, just lovely city, lovely country. And there was like this kind of talks in the news that the president of Biden said that like Putin is going to invade, and all the European countries started like closing the embassies. And I was like, it's just bullshit, you know. They overreact, you know. It's the media. We are used to it from COVID. It's not gonna happen. And then like it came to a part that all my family called me and my friends like, get the hell out of her, get the hell out of her. And I was like, come on, relax. Nothing is wrong. And just to the peace of mind of my mom, I left before it started. And then with the whole thing started, I was scared because my girlfriend were still there, and she had to I was trying like to help her get out of there through the border, you know, because there are no flights, all the airports are bombed, and they had to find gas because there was no gas. And this, we can do another like interview with her if you want. We can make a Hollywood movie of what we've been through, because I was with her all the time, like in the phone, and giving her suggestions and trying to help her and connect it with other people that will help her to go from this city to this city. And then, you know, it's like this kind of decision, not of like what I'm gonna drink today or what I'm gonna eat today, but like, should I take my chance now and leave in the middle of the night because tomorrow morning there might be like soldiers coming and I don't know, bombing and shooting at me. You know, this is this kind of decisions. And it's super, super scary and crazy. But once you get to shelter, once you get to safety, then it doesn't get easier, but it's less scary because, okay, you know that you're going to be fine, even though there still were these kind of rumors where it's going to be like the whole Europe is going to join and everything. And then you see all the people that comes from the border after like 40 hours, you know, like dirty and like helpless, and it just breaks your heart. And yeah, we did our best with a couple of other Israeli friends that we live together in Kiev. We just decided to focus this kind of 2-3 months just to help people. And I hope that like we helped as many people. We couldn't help everyone, but there are some, I'm proud to say that there are some like people that we helped. And yeah.
Wow, what a story. So you got out earlier than your girlfriend. So yeah, you had to help her over the phone. That's crazy. I mean, you must have felt like so scared for her.
You cannot believe. And actually, I was there in the Salsa festival, and you know, everything goes as normal. You know, people dance, but I couldn't just go to dance. You know, when I know that my girlfriend is there, I don't know even if it's hard to say, but I was worried about her life, you know, about like what happens if something happens to her. And also you feel like also a bit of like, you know, why didn't I take her out with me? Because I really didn't think that something will happen. I had a flight ticket back from Budapest to Kiev that eventually, after the war started. So obviously it's canceled. But I plan to go back. And I just wanted to go to this festival and make my family calm down and go back. Yeah, and all the plans got changed. So don't count on everything in life, because tomorrow, you know, nothing is stable.
Damn, man, that's I was expecting you to tell some like glamorous story of living the good life with your digital nomad lifestyle, but man, that's a pretty heavy story. And I guess you sort of just fell into that kind of lifestyle, not really specifically trying to get into that kind of lifestyle. It just sort of happened. Is that right?
Yeah, it just sort of happened. And what gave me the confidence, I would say, like living abroad and seeing that I can be fine everywhere, doesn't matter. You know, I just get an apartment and I have money, I work, I have income, I have savings, and yeah, it's kind of forced. And then we started liking it because, you know, people tell us, why don't you stay? Why don't you go back to Israel? Why don't you go to other places? We're like, why should we? We just love it, you know. We go wherever we want. There is festival here, we go here. There is festival here, we go there. We explore new places, you know. We love to get to a new city, to see the architecture, to explore new cafes. We like to walk from cafes. So it's fun. We really like it. We really love it to be in different places. We can decide, okay, we want warm climate, let's go to Asia. We want Christmas and winter vibes and New Year's vibe, we are staying in Poland. Okay, so that's how we get decisions. What do we want now? And it's fun. It gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility. You feel that you're not tied to a place. It's also very nice that we have only 3 suitcases, and you feel light. You don't have a lot of belongings that you are worried about. You know, what if someone will take my home? Someone already took my home. Not literally, but you know, I have a home in Kiev with all my stuff. So, and I'm like, you know, life goes on. You know, I can still be fine with 3 suitcases and my computer and internet connection. And that's what's fun about it. The freedom that it gives you. You can be literally in like a village in the middle of nowhere in the farm, just because you like the view there, and work from there, and wake up in the morning to stunning views with a cup of coffee and do smart contract hacking. That's it.
That's the life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like
cons, though, yeah, there are cons, a lot of cons.
Yeah. What would you say? What other cons?
Oh, first of all, YouTube setup. I started like making a YouTube setup in Kiev in my apartment. You know, all this kind of cool lightings and pictures, and that's it. I don't have every time. I cannot carry a huge ring light or something that will make my video quality better because I have 3 suitcases. So I'm improvising, you know, like maybe here I will have more light, you know, I use natural light, and the background is every time is different. But this is also something cool that I guess my viewers are like, what's going to be his next background? Maybe they think, I don't know, in my YouTube channel, but yeah, this is one con. So you for content creation, it's like a bit more challenging. Another con, sometimes it's tiring, you know, because it's mainly my girlfriend packs and organizing everything, but I see sometimes that it's hard because you need to move constantly and pack your stuff again, and then get to a new place, and also you spend a lot of times in airports and flights if you go between countries. So this is definitely another cons. The third one, I would say, the mattress. The mattress. When you move a lot of apartments, especially when it's Airbnb, you don't know if the mattress will be good or not. It's like 50-50. And we all want to have a good night's sleep so we can be focused the next day. And sometimes we get to an apartment where literally you have springs in your back, you're trying to sleep and you just can't because it's like very shitty. And the pros is like you get to be in different places, different apartments. This apartment has a dishwasher, this apartment has an oven or whatever, and this apartment, the mattress is shitty. So it's another like thing that is like unstable, and yeah.
Yeah, I've heard people complain like they can't get a good chair to work on when they move around in hotels and that kind of stuff, and a shitty mattress. That's a new one. I guess that's pretty important because you're spending a lot of your time sleeping.
Exactly.
You need a good mattress to get good rest.
Yeah. Imagine if you just rent an apartment for 1 month and your mattress is shitty, you just don't have a good rest, and all your month is just getting like wasted because you're not focused. Yeah. That's what happened to us in this apartment. That's why I remember this kind of case. But we just literally contacted the owner, and he was very sorry about it, and he just replaced it several days after. So usually, the owners understand because he wouldn't want to sleep in such mattress. So, and he didn't know. He said that he didn't know, and he replaced, and now it's an amazing mattress. So usually these problems are solvable sometimes.
Okay.
And
nice.
we have the balls, when something is not right, to say it in front of the face. That's what they say about the Israelis. So if something is wrong, I'm just telling him like openly, like, would you sleep on this kind of mattress? Would you appreciate your good night's sleep? And they usually understand.
Yeah, nice. So there are pros and cons.
Yeah, definitely. The pros are freedom, absolutely freedom and flexibility and fun and exciting new places, new people.
Yeah, so living this sort of lifestyle, what are you working on at the moment? What's like your main source of income? Essentially, do you have to have like a high income to live this sort of life? We do enjoy pretty high rates in Web3. So what are you working on at the moment?
Yes. So currently, I'm working on a course, like I mentioned before. In addition, I work 1 day a week as a consultant for a Web3 project, very interesting Web3 infrastructure project called Lava Protocol. We are trying to disrupt the way people access to blockchain, this kind of connection layer between the users and the dApps to the blockchains themselves, because it's not like a database or a web server where you have like an API and you send API calls. You need to have a node, because in order to get access to blockchain, you need a node that will expose to you this kind of access. And apparently most of the nodes and the way we work these days is very, very centralized. So even if you use MetaMask or Ledger or whatever, you interact with blockchains, you go through these kind of nodes. And it's very, very centralized. If it's like Infura or Alchemy, it's like centralized companies that expose this node for free for you so you can use dApps, which is nice. They're helping you. They're giving you value for free, but they're still businesses. They're still Web2 businesses, and they need to make money like every other business. So it's like Facebook or Instagram, right? So if you're not paying for the product, if it's for you, probably you are the product. And unfortunately, we are the products, because we share with them our privacy. They are very centralized point. They see all the traffic, all the requests, and they can do a lot of stuff with it. If it's like MEV and a lot of sort of stuff. And so Lava is trying to build like something decentralized, a decentralized marketplace that will connect between people who are running nodes and provide blockchain access to developers who need this kind of blockchain access to interact with the blockchain, and obviously users like wallets and stuff that you want access to blockchains and you don't want to be censored, like Infura censored users to access Tornado Cash or Venezuelan users. So you don't want the centralized servers to be down, because if one provider is down, you have 3 new providers that provide a service. So it's a lot of like things that Lava is trying to solve, and it's also part of the evolution of decentralization of Web3. So this is what I'm doing like 1 day a week as a consultant, creating technical content for them. I helped a bit with tokenomics, but mainly now like marketing technical content of explaining how the protocol works. If it's like articles, video, diagrams, memes, everything. That's Lava. On the other side, I'm like sharp focused on security, which is why my business partner and friend and I, Gershon, we started an auditing firm, a boutique cybersecurity Web3 auditing firm, where we do smart contract security audits. Not only EVM, we're not focusing on EVM, we're actually focusing on more like niche chains, because if we talked about competition and lack of talent, yeah, we have lack of talent in Solidity, but you definitely have more people who know how to hack Solidity smart contract than people who know how to hack Cairo contracts on Starknet or move smart contracts on Aptos. That's what we are focusing to bring value to these kind of unique chains and unique solutions. And we are all like people with experience from the IDF, Black Hat and White Hat experience. I was the defense guy. Gershon in the military service was the attack guy, in the intelligence forces. These guys who actually hack, like hack for profit, not monetary profit, but other like intelligence profit. And so this was Gershon. So we bring like both offensive and defensive point of view, and we have some interns that we are like giving them some tasks and training them on the go. And yeah, so that's another big focus of my time right now. I'm doing like audits in EVM, in Aptos, part of our like new agency, which is called Ginger Security, GingerSec.
Nice. Yeah, so Lava Protocol, that's pretty much like a decentralized Infura that people can access to stop themselves like being blocked by centralized RPC nodes, essentially, which I think is very important. Like we're seeing more and more tax on this sort of infrastructure, and the faster we get to decentralizing everything, the better.
Yeah, and it's a process, like from success to dApps or DEXs with like admin privileges and controlled functions, to completely decentralized smart contracts that owned and controlled by the governance. So also you have this kind of blockchain access revolution, right? Back then you used to run your own node, right? Because you need blockchain access. You didn't have this kind of Infuras or Alchemies or Moralis or Anchor or QuickNode. You had to run your own Ethereum node to get Ethereum access. And then you have this kind of Web2 companies, SaaS companies that give you this access for free. Or sometimes if you want like more requests, they charge more money. And then the next stage in this evolution in Web3 is like blockchain access 3.0 or node 3.0, where you get like completely decentralized way to get this kind of services from providers. Like marketplace that connects between the consumers to the providers. And that's what Lava is trying to build. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on like DEXs that have admin privilege? Because it doesn't seem very decentralized, honestly. Like if people are trying to build like a whole protocol and have all like admin privileges, then why don't you just build it on Web 2? It's going to be superior in every single way. You're like literally taking away the benefit of Web 3 when you put in these admin privileges everywhere, right?
Yeah, so I think there are two cases. One case is that these kind of projects, they are trying to use the buzzword or to say that they are decentralized, the first decentralized marketplace for tokenized assets or whatever. And they're actually a Web2 businesses that like, and they use it, you know, like a lot of people use blockchain and crypto to get like exposure, to get marketing exposure. So it's like maliciously being used and disguised as like decentralized protocol, but eventually they have like bad intentions. The other case is that the team and the project developers, they have good intentions. They really keep these functions to protect the community, you know, if something goes wrong, because we can see how many things goes wrong, you know, if it's like lending protocol, these oracles, the oracles are malfunctioning. If it's a lending protocol, we could see it in Luna and UST. So the oracles does not behave how they are supposed to behave, and then it completely fucks lending protocols. And now also with the FTT token oracles. So these kind of project owners, they want to bring more safety to the users, so they leave some kind of privileges so they can halt the system in case there is some problem, or if there are token stacks in the contract, they can rescue them and send to people. But there is a limit, you know, and the limit is like very, 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 there is a thin limit, thin like that if they cross, then it's like not decentralized at all. So once these projects do this kind of centralized control over the smart contracts, it's better if you have a project and you like want to use it or to invest in it or take some funds in smart contracts. Usually the good projects, they will write about it in the docs. They will mention it that they are controlling these kind of smart contracts and they have these kind of functions, so to justify it, to explain, in case, I don't know, Oracle prices are getting crazy, we can just stop the smart contract. And also they need to maintain good security for their Web2 infrastructures. So if the wallet that controls the smart contract, it's not just a EOA wallet, it's not just a private key, but it's a multi-sig wallet, a Gnosis safe or something. And also you have time locks for this kind of thing. So if they do an action, there is some kind of delay that the users can prepare and they know that in 2 days, this kind of action is going to happen in this kind of smart contracts. That's why we have time locks and multi-sig wallets. So they need to maintain this kind of security as well. And on the other side, if they do put time lock, we saw also protocols in Luna, in Terra blockchain, that because of a time lock, they couldn't rescue the funds because there was 2 days and the DPEG was too fast that they couldn't keep track. So it's always like the question between decentralization and security, or it's hard, you know, we need to maintain the balance. But I do believe that in the future, once the technology will be more mature, the
the users will be more mature, the communities will be more mature. We'll see more and more protocols that are governed and controlled completely by the users and completely decentralized. And as I think it's a necessary step in this evolution.
Yeah, like, and a lot of projects, they rug pull with these admin privileges, and users don't understand them, and because they don't read the smart contract, it's hard. Yeah, a lot of problems. I think the dream would be to have like fully decentralized projects, as you said. That would be the end goal, obviously. But I guess we're sort of in this middle step at the moment where we're transitioning. But when that will happen, it's quite hard to say. We have to solve the security issues around smart contracts first, definitely.
It's already better than success, if you think about it, than centralized exchanges, because in FTT you don't know their balance sheets, they don't know how much Bitcoin they use, they don't know how much they leverage the user money and do like crazy risky stuff. On Aave, you can literally see on-chain everything. You can see how much assets are being deposited, how much assets are being withdrawn. In DEXs also, you can see the liquidity. It's in the smart contract, it's open. You can see the code. So it's already much better, safer, and more like transparent than CeFi. So we're on the right direction, but it will take some time, and eventually we will get there.
Yeah, definitely, like with those bigger projects, like you said, the security is a bit more mature. They get like a lot of auditors reading through the code and just finding those vulnerabilities and fixing them, and very proactive about that. It's like the smaller projects that they don't get audits, they just launch, and maybe they're even just a rug pull project that you loses users a lot of money. And also, what do you think about FTX? Like, they literally took users' money and started gambling with it, essentially. You would never see that kind of stuff like from, say, for example, a traditional exchange like a Forex exchange or something. That kind of stuff would just not happen, and it's just crazy. Like even in their like their like legal documents, they say that the funds belong to the users, and they are not going to be taking those funds for like other purposes, but they still did that, which is just crazy. I mean, I think maybe more regulation is going to be cracking down on these centralized exchanges very soon.
Yeah, but I have a lot of things to say about this kind of thing with FTX and banks and regulation, but we need to have another call for this, because it's like another conversation that we can go like philosophy and regulations and banks and control. We have a lot of things to discuss there, but I do think that FTX and Binance and all these kind of things, they are like banks, and banks are being regulated. If you think about it, you regulate banks to keep your users safe, to keep the customers safe, right? Because you don't want someone to lose his own money. You want the bank to keep the funds of the user safe, because he's keeping other people's money. But it doesn't work, because regulations, they only make your life harder, because they just freezing transactions, they get insanely high fees, they decide to block your account until you just provide them all these kind of documents. They want to know where your kidneys are, and well, like everything they need to know about you. Why? Are you criminal? No, you just got $1,000 deposits from an international company. Does it mean that you're a criminal? No. And meanwhile, all the small users, all the small customers are getting like, checked by all these kind of regulators. You have these huge whales, huge like megalomaniacs, like I don't know, like CZ and Sam and all this kind of like managers, bankers, that they do whatever they want. They just take people's money, gamble it. The banks do the same. In the crisis in 2008, they also gambled people's money. If you go now, if all the people go to ING Bank or I don't know any other bank and want to withdraw their money, they won't let them. They won't let them. Go try and withdraw all your funds at once. They won't let you, because they will have a bank run. They don't have all the funds. It's just records in a database. And regulation is good to solve these kinds of problems when you have closed databases that are controlled by companies, that these companies has CEOs that they can just take money and gamble it. But in DeFi, I don't see why we need regulation, because in DeFi, everything is transparent. You don't have one entity that controls it. You don't have you see everything. You see all the database, you see the balance sheet, you see the contracts, you see how much money there is, you see the code, you see that no one can do something to this code, you see the community, the governance. So it's like the next evolution. It doesn't need to be regulated, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but you shouldn't regulate DeFi and Bitcoin, because it came to solve the problems that we had with trusting these kind of centralized entities like banks and regulations, and the fact that they can freeze your money, they charge insanely high fees, they tell you that you are not allowed to transfer to this kind of person because your transaction is risky, and they don't share any more information with you. That's it. Just you can't. That's it. That's banks. And that's exchanges as well, because exchanges are just banks that hold crypto for you. Sometimes they really do hold the crypto in the wallet and they let you withdraw it, and sometimes they don't. It's like, it's banks. It's just another name for banks, centralized exchanges. Banks that support crypto trading. That's what it is, but it's not your money. It's still not the philosophy why Bitcoin was created and crypto and Ethereum was created. Yeah, that's my thought about regulation and FTX and centralized exchanges and banks and DeFi all together.
Yeah, not your keys, not your crypto.
Exactly. Not your keys, not your money, because when you have keys and you have money, you're putting your trust on cryptographic algorithms, on elliptic curve, and you don't even care about people can hack you through phishing, through MetaMask vulnerabilities and stuff like that, but you know that once you have a private key, unless someone broke the cryptographic algorithm, which is super insanely hard, that's it, your funds are safe. Or someone tricked you to give him your keys. But the problem is that it's hard. The user experience is hard. Like, let's try explain your mom or your father about what it means to have a private key that controls asset, and if someone hacks it, that's it, your assets are gone, or if you lose it, that's it, your money is gone. No recovery. You cannot go and recover your password with your email address. That's it, it's gone. So it's evolution. We are literally watching the evolution of money, evolution of value of society, and this is amazing,
Yeah, it's exciting. And I'm 100%, I agree with your opinions on regulation. And I think Web3 is trying to move away from that kind of stuff. I think the ultimate cypherpunk dream would be to create smart contracts that govern a lot of systems that cannot be regulated. Like, they don't have those admin privileges and all that kind of stuff, literally just running on their own without input, and it's just working, and it literally cannot be regulated. Sort of like how Bitcoin works. Like, it just works. Like, you can't regulate it. It just is, right? I think, yeah, that would be the dream, to build huge protocols that just work and don't have admins that people can, governments can't just go around and just arrest the admin and force them to shut the protocol down or something. Like, if it just exists and it doesn't have those admin privileges, that would be the dream, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's like someone is trying to ride a bicycle, and in the beginning he used this kind of I don't know how to say it in English, the wheels that help him.
Training wheels.
Training wheels, yeah. So every time we take one more training wheel, we removed a bit of more trust and a bit of more trust, and eventually we get to completely decentralized applications in all of the stack, all the way, And we already have some smart contracts that are completely decentralized. If you look at Uniswap V2, the router, the factory, and the pair contract, you don't have, the admin cannot do anything. It's like the router is routing through liquidity pools. You have the curve algorithm in the pair contract that calculates how much reserves need to be preserved. And we have the factory that anyone can create any pair with any token. Also, when you deploy an ERC tokens, if you just take the Open Zeppelin standard and you just deploy a token, as is without adding extra functionality that lets you like mint or steal tokens from other people if it's using a proof or transfer from function, it's pretty decentralized, you know, the layer of the software. The problem is that people take this kind of, they fork Uniswap v2 and then they make a function that's called admin withdraw, you know, and then they rug pull the users. Or that's the problem. Or they make like a backdoor, you know, in one of the functions that only they know. It will be hard to find. They don't publish the source code of the smart contracts. It's all bytecodes. And there is this kind of function where they've like if address equals like owner, obfuscated owner, then give him like 100x value return from this function or something. That's the problem, that we take the technology and we shift it and move it and change it.
Yeah, I would not trust a protocol who does not open source their code.
Yeah, but also these have like problems. When, for example, Uniswap in the beginning, they didn't open source Uniswap v3 because once they published Uniswap v2, you have so many copycats and so many forks, and they made like a really new technology where they invested a lot of money in like developers that will design and mathematicians that will design this new concentrated liquidity strategies, and eventually they did open source the code, but it took some time. So this is okay sometimes to not open source the code right away, but later on, once it's more mature, open source it. Yeah, but eventually if the project just never open source the code, it's the same like philosophy that I think crypto and blockchain is like, and open source are really going together, because you minimize the trust, maximize transparency. So it really goes together.
Yeah, 100%. So what are your thoughts on the future of Web3, either from a security perspective, like are we still going to be enjoying very high salaries in the space with more and more security, potential security vulnerabilities coming into play in the next few years? And also just from a macro perspective, like where is this industry headed in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I do believe that we are very, very, very early. And I do see bright future for Web3, for blockchains, because if I look at it like in 5 years from now, we all might use blockchain. We're all going to use blockchains. But it's like now that you send email, you don't have to know how SMTP works, right? Or when you upload a story to Instagram or a post, you don't know how HTTP works. The users that use it, you know, they just post like cat pictures and they have no idea how post HTTP request works and compression of videos. So it will be just a technology that is there in the background that is more brings more trust and more transparency and more fair financial system for the users, but the people will not understand how it works. There will be people that understand how it works, which are the engineers, which are probably us and engineers that will join the space, the industry. So I do believe that the technology is amazing and it's necessary that humanity will move forward towards more freedom in terms of value transfer between people, because what is money if you think about it? It's a language to communicate value, right? I create a course, I create value for people. People take this value and they pay a currency for this course. So I bring value to them, they pay me the value of currency, then I can use this currency to buy something in the supermarket and eat, right? So it's like people transferring value, that's why you have money. The problem is that money became from a system to transfer value between people to a way to control people. Because they now tell you cannot, if you vote for the bad party, then you cannot like use money, because we control the money for you. We are the banks, we are the governments, that's it. You vote for the wrong money. You're born on the wrong place, right? In Ukraine also, a lot of banks just froze funds, a lot of problems, financial problems of these kind of centralized entities when they just decide something. And we need to bring this kind of system, this creation of money, to serve its real purpose, which is like behave as language to communicate value between people. And it's freedom. It bring the initial like purpose of this kind of invention, which is called money. And I believe that blockchain technology is the way to do it, and we are getting there more and more. And you see mass adoption. You see like huge companies starting to use blockchains. If it's like Meta tokenizing posts as NFTs, or I don't know, Adidas. A lot of companies trying to ride the wave, and make money on top of it. But there are really companies that really understand that this is the future of transferring value in humanity, and they really embrace it. And I do believe that the more time passes, you will see more and more mass adoption. It will be tight in our day-to-day life. Like today, you use smartphone to learn new stuff, to communicate with people, to post photos. So people will use money. They will be their own bankers. They will, like you use Apple Pay today, it will be a blockchain in the background with currencies and tokens and everything without centralized database. That's where it's gonna be. It's gonna take a while. There are gonna be a lot of hacks on the way, and it's our responsibility to make sure that these systems work properly as designed. And once we get there, people can rest assured more. They can like have peace of mind, like they have in banks, but more, because maybe they used to have peace of mind with banks, but these days maybe we are lucky to be in countries that are more advanced, but you have like India and Greece and Venezuela, where the currencies are completely collapsing, and people just their whole life savings just getting to the trash. Why? Because they trust these banks and these governments to keep this value for them. They brought value to the society. It's broken because farmer might farm his like, I don't know, cornfield, get value for it, get payment, get this money, and then he wants to use this money to get, I don't know, blanket to sleep at night, and the system doesn't work because the government, the centralized entity or the bank just collapses, and all the value that's supposed to bring to the society just got stolen, just got to the ashes. And that's what Web3 fixes. So this is the future, in my opinion. More talent will come for tech and in general to Web3. It will be much harder to find vulnerabilities, and there will be more like, it will be harder because the technology will get better. There will be more talent. It will be cheaper to make things secure because there will be more talent. So that's how I see it. We are in historical times.
Yeah, 100%. Very exciting times, historical point in history, I think, where we're living right now. So I'll end with a fun question. You mentioned previously that you are a professional salsa dancer, and there's apparently some sort of festival that is happening this weekend. What's going on with that?
Yeah. So back in my military service, I started dancing salsa as well. And I just loved it. I love the culture. I love the music. Then I also got introduced to bachata, which is like a bit more Central Dominican Republic dance. Salsa originally comes from Cuba. And I started teaching also after like 2 or 3 years. And I love dancing. I love salsa. It's such an amazing hobby. And I love going to a lot of festivals because that's how you meet new people. Like you go to conferences and you meet people that share the same like interest and hobbies as you, if it's crypto conference. So we have like our salsa community and bachata community where I meet people from all over the world, from the United States to Asia, to Europe, everywhere. So it's amazing, and it's amazing community. And yeah, right now we're in Poland in a huge salsa festival which takes place this weekend. And actually yesterday it was the first party, so that's why I don't know if you can see that I'm a bit tired because we had like a crazy salsa party last night. So yeah, definitely suggest anyone to check out this hobby because it's awesome, it's fun, it's like music. If you like music, it's amazing. You move your body, you meet new people, you communicate with a lot of people, and you keep your body shape if you don't like to do sports or something. So this is like, if you dance salsa, it's like a crazy aerobic dance. A lot of calories you burn, you activate all your muscles. And you can see that people who dance, they actually look much younger. You can see like people that are 40 years old, they look 30. Oh, yeah. So it keeps you younger. So this is my promotion about salsa. Definitely go dance.
Amazing. Yeah. I think like for us people who work in tech and we sit in front of a computer a lot, like during the day stationary, it's really good to have a physical hobby, right? That actually gets your body moving and gets the blood flowing and that kind of stuff. And yeah, just keeping your body in shape is it helps a lot in terms of
Everything.
like yeah, yeah, 100%. Like it keeps your mind sharper as well because after you exercise, you just feel like mentally, you just have a more clearer head. I think after exercising. For me, I do jujitsu, and I've recently got into MMA. So I do that like a couple of times a week, and yeah, like physical exercise. After that, I come home and then I can like smash out some technical work and that yeah, it really helps clear the mind and stops you from burning out if you're like too much on the computer every waking hour of the day. Yeah, you really just sort of get that like brain fog after a while. So go out there and do some physical exercise, move your body.
Amazing. Yeah, balance is the key. Balance is the key. Don't sit all day in front of the computer because you won't be efficient and you will suffer. So go find some activity, and yeah, it's an amazing. A fun fact: most of the people who dance salsa are in tech. You know, I met so many people who are developers, who are like, you know, system admins, crypto enthusiasts. So it's a community, you know, and most of the guys are like, because this is also a way to meet people and meet girls. Obviously, I met my girlfriend in the dancing scene. We both dance, and a lot of people also meet new people, and yeah, so it's usually also very smart people, like good community, good people, smart people. You know, that's why I love it. But in
Yeah,
general,
like
physical activity is like important.
yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So yeah, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, Johnny. You are a man of many talents. It's been awesome. You sharing all of your knowledge with the community. So you have a YouTube, obviously. People can subscribe to that, and you are active on Twitter. And are you active on any other socials?
Yeah, so I would say mainly on YouTube and Twitter. We have a Discord group, which is not very active anymore because it's very hard to maintain. As you heard, I have a lot of stuff going on. But if you guys want to follow me, is like just subscribe to my YouTube channel, JohnnyTime, on Twitter also, real JohnnyTime on Twitter because JohnnyTime was taken. And if you guys need any help in security consultant, then you can definitely check out Ginger Labs. Ginger Labs in the past, now it's Ginger Security, so GingerSec on Twitter as well, or GingerSec XYZ, and that's how you can find me. You can feel free to DM me on Twitter or just comment on my YouTube videos. I'm very responsive to everyone.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks again for coming on, Johnny. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Andy. It was a pleasure, and yeah, I'm waiting for the comments about the course because I still want to work with you.
Yeah, yeah. Leave your comments down in the description, guys, if you want me to work with Johnny on the course.
All right, man. Have a great weekend.
All right. Yeah. Cheers, man.
Bye bye.